last month, interest rates went from 5.55% all the way to 6.28% in a total of 3 days. This sent the market into a frenzy. Realtors, lenders, title people, everybody was talking about how the shift was here. We heard the talk of crash and all of this stuff. Let's talk about reality. Let's talk about what really happened. And let's talk about what's happened since those 3 days. By the end of this video, you'll have a much better perspective on where the real estate market is and where we're headed. Stay tuned. What's up, everybody? Jeremy Kane, EXP Realty, helping you gain perspective on the real estate world, all the knowledge, all the stats, everything that's happened boots on the ground. I'm here to keep you in the know so that you can make an informed decision for your family as a buyer, seller, renter, whatever you might be. As always, please smash that like button. Shoot me a comment, as this is a very volatile situation and people are talking about it. Let's start the conversation here, and I promise to bring you the most up-to-date, real information that's out there, as those headlines sometimes don't get that. So let's dive in. All right, so the headlines were all over the place. Everybody's talking about a market shift. A lot of people are talking about, here's the crash, it's now. We're gonna have so much opportunity in the next 12 to 18 months to get into this market and absolutely turn our 1 million into 10 million, right? Everybody scales their riches in down markets. That's a known fact. So let's really dive into this real estate market and what's really going on. Clearly, in those 3 days, that interest rate of almost 3/4 of a point is a big deal. Homes literally got more expensive in a 3-day, 72-hour period. That is obviously going to have an effect, and it's a big deal. But as we step away and we kind of start to look at all of the other situations that are going on around the world and within our economy, we always come back to housing and see how that is doing. So you have Bitcoin down 60%. You have the worst stock market start in the first half of the year since the 1970s. You have inflation at a 41-year high. All of this stuff, while housing actually has gone up 16.5% this year alone. To say that the market is completely going to crash and the real estate market's in trouble and all of this stuff is a little bit misguided, because I'd argue that all those other markets are in a little bit worse situation. I mean, literally, we have the echoes of all of the headlines, the news stories, all of this, talking about affordability crisis and how the real estate market has reached its peak and it's coming down. Did anyone tell you that July ended with a 5.55 interest rate right where it started? So why do we have all these headlines when it goes up, but when it comes right back to where it started, no one says a word? The smart buyers are getting in, as mortgage applications are up 17% this month, and that is a huge increase, and that means that people are actually getting down to business, but not everyone is. So as those buyers trickle in and they're continuing to be worried about the interest rates and affordability, we can have a conversation. And the truth is, homes are getting more expensive. The bottom line, though, is you have to have a home, you have to have a roof over your head to survive in this world, right? And if we don't have that, if we don't have that home ownership, if we don't do that, then we're gonna rent. Because rents are up 15% year over year as well. So as we continue to see this change and homes get a little bit more expensive, those investors that own homes are gonna capitalize, because the investors that are just getting in, that are still in the market, they're gonna go at the average rent rate. And then the investors that have held the homes for, a short period of time or a long period of time, they're gonna get that rent too. So your rent will get more expensive. So the market is something that we can't necessarily control, but it's not really a good idea or a good point to say, I can't buy a house because it's too expensive, because you pay for a house that's getting more expensive every single minute, every single day, regardless of if you're paying for your own mortgage or you're paying for someone else's. And let's talk about that 16.5% appreciation just this year alone. We're only 1% off of the record torrid pace that we had last year. And so as we continue to see this grow, I would imagine that will flatten out a little bit as we've kind of hit the seasonality slow period. That's another thing to consider. After June, we usually are settled into summer. Everybody's starting to feel like, okay, we've got back to school ads coming out and all that stuff. So people are starting to settle in. People want to be in place by school time usually. And the summer, there's just so much to do, especially here in Colorado. People are out doing stuff, not necessarily focused on buying a home right here, right now. So it's a seasonality trend as well, which we have seen a little bit of an inventory uptick. And let's talk about that for a minute. Inventory is up 94% year over year. That is a shocking comment, right? 94%, almost double what we had at this time last year. What that doesn't take into consideration is how low we actually were last year. And it's not hard if you have 5 homes for sale to go up 94% to almost 10 homes for sale, right? And so the lower that base number, the higher that percentage sounds, and it's shocking. Okay, but let's look at historically. We're at 94% higher year over year, but compared to July of 2020, which had its own issues, we're 5% less inventory than that. So right in the middle of COVID, right when everyone didn't know what was going on, we have 5% less inventory right now than we did when people couldn't come in homes, couldn't look in homes, no one wanted to look at each other, no one wanted to sell a house, no one wanted to look at a house. Okay, so we're 5% below that number. Take it back a step further. We're 36% less than we were in 2019. And if you are talking about this balance market, if you've heard lenders and realtors and whoever out there talking about it's a balance market, or even I've heard buyer's market, we are still 80% short of the inventory we need to have a balanced market in this metro area. So 80%. We need 6 months of inventory, and currently we sit at 1.2 months of inventory. So to say all of this is the market shifting and everything's changing and home values are going to go down, we still, although we welcome the influx of opportunity and influx of inventory, we are still not where we need to be as far as inventory to sustain what's going on in the movement here and the 33-year-olds coming into the market and all of that stuff. So that's huge when we consider the grand scheme of things, right? I always bring you back to supply and demand. And although inventory finally outpaced demand for the first time in 2 years since July of 2020, we are still in a position where inventory is the story. And as we move forward, we'll talk a little bit about why that's going to be the story and why, in my opinion, we will be okay in this balanced market. This is a market that we have been asking for as real estate professionals for many years. Consider this. If you got your license as a real estate agent before 2012, you are the only ones that have seen any sort of non-improving market. So every agent that's come into the business, including myself in the last 10 years, has always worked in an improving, increasing market. Okay, we may see that kind of level off a little bit. Instead of here, we might be a little flatter, still increasing, still in a seller's market, deeply in a seller's market, but things have changed on the ground. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's so nice that the 24-year-old businessman can actually take some time after work to look at a house, sleep on it, and make a decision if they want to purchase a home. Or a 60-year-old grandmother who is looking to downsize because she doesn't need, her 4,000 square foot home anymore, is able to actually look at the market, go out and see some homes, maybe even get under contract before she has to put a contingent offer in, or get under contract as a contingent offer, and then put her house on the market, sell it, have a place to go, close the transaction, and make it whole, right? Or maybe it's the 40-year-old who wants to, move up in the market, or has to sell their house because they, have another option or something like that. Maybe they have a little bit of time to actually, figure out what their home's worth, not just throw anything at the market and let it stick. All it is a little more time, right? And our median days on market is 4 days still. Our average is up to 10 days on market, okay? Just a little more time to actually sit down, understand the market, know that you have to work with the other side and make it a win-win for both parties. This is the market that we've been asking for. As agents, as real estate professionals, we need to realize that, and we need to take that information to you. With the interest rates going above 6 and never hearing anything different, several of you even might talk about, oh, the rates are above 6, that's crazy, too expensive. And we haven't talked about them going below 6. I've mentioned it a little bit in some videos, but truth be told, start of July, 5.5%, start of June, truth be told, start of June, 5.5%, end of June, 5.5%. Why are we having this frenzy? Why is everyone freaking out? Why are you, the consumer, not in the business and understanding that is happening? Because we as professionals aren't bringing it to you. So I'm here to bring it to you. Pretty cool. Again, I'm not a mortgage loan person. The rates all vary depending on who you are and what you are, but as a general number, that's pretty crazy, right? I know that some of you watching this will be surprised that they're right back to where we were June 1st, and you haven't heard anything about it. So let's kind of jump back into what does this mean? If you were an agent and you got your license within the last 10 years, you have never lived in a changing market anywhere across the country. And so as an agent that got his license in 2013, 9 years ago, almost to the day, I understand that the market has been good. And I also understand that it is now our time to get our hands dirty. It's not as easy as just slapping something on the market and seeing what sticks, right? So as a real estate agent, which I did through the entire process of the increasing market, we gotta look at the home, we gotta price realistically, we have to get professional photos, we have to stage it if needed. We need to make sure your home is marketable, because the longer it sits on the market, the more annoying and more stressful it is, and the less money you get, right? So if your agent is just used to that, and I mean, I've had negotiations on inspections, which kind of went away about 2 years ago, and agents have no idea how to even negotiate anymore, right? So now is more important than ever to hire an agent that can educate you, prepare you for the market, right? We must set the expectations. This is what it is. It's no longer, hey, go out of town for the weekend, we'll have 10 offers to review by the time you get back, and we'll be off to the races. It might not be like that. Set the expectation, know exactly what the market looks like in that area, how many showings are happening, what happened to the active house down the road, all that stuff. So you educate, you get your hands dirty, and actually prove your worth, right? As an agent, sometimes we're always talking about this commission and proving our worth, and all you have to do is put it on the market and it'll sell. Now it's time to prove your worth. It's gonna sit for longer than 4 days. You're not gonna get 6 figures over asking. You might have to cover some inspection items that maybe you've passed up over the last years. So as an agent, I will be making sure that the expectations are clear, that I'm working full time to make sure your home is marketed the correct way, and go from there. And if you say, well, you know, you haven't been in it 10 years, so I'm gonna go with somebody that's more experienced. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now that a lot's changed in the last 10 years, right? You don't market a property like you used to 10 years ago. So we're all new to this, right? That is a huge amount of time, not to mention the majority of the agents that are in the market, that are in front of you, have gotten in the business in the last 10 years, but also the fact that agents need to dial it in, understand the technology, understand the marketing trends, understand all of that so that you can provide that service. And I think that is the opportunity that lies ahead. Is you need an agent to help you find your opportunity in the market. Every market has opportunity. There's winners, there's losers, buyers or sellers. If you're a buyer and a seller, maybe you get a little bit less, you know, when you sell your home, but on the buy end, you're not gonna have to give away all of that stuff that you gained on the sell end. Take that into consideration. Understand that you've lost a lot more money in other investments, and just take a deep breath. We'll see how the market continues to change. I would imagine the close to list price next month as it gets caught up will be a little bit lower, maybe right at 100, maybe a little bit lower, but we'll see how that comes out. All right, so what's the take home from all of this? Understand that as an agent, you must get to work. Understand as a consumer, you must rely on that agent to fully market your property, do it the right way, maybe spend the extra couple bucks on staging or whatever that may be to make it happen. So as always, stay tuned for the up-to-date market information, as it is very volatile. Every single Wednesday I will update and have a little bit of a market update as things are changing so quickly. But my job is to bring you 100% of the information as correct and knowledgeable as it can be, and educate you on the opportunities in this market. If you are paying someone else's mortgage, you better hit me up, because that's where the opportunity is right now. First-time homebuyers, people that are renting, let's talk about that. Talk to you soon. Jeremy Kane, EXP Realty. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, Facebook at JKCO Realtor, and smash that like button. Have a great day. Bye-bye.